And should we go ahead and get started?
I think so. I
Yay.
think you should. Yay.
So welcome everybody. This is Racy Conversations webinar series. We're in week 4 and I am so thrilled to be joined by one of my favorite people in the universe,
Hello.
Sacil Armstrong. And you are going to learn so much and come away from this conversation feeling both more grounded and more elevated. And I'm so
Yes,
grateful.
that's what we want.
Yeah, thank you for
Yes.
making time to share your beautiful energy and
Oh, thank
spirit
you.
with
Thanks
us.
for the invitation. I'm so happy to be here. I love to share about self-care and about how to stay grounded and centered and how to take care of yourself, especially in times that we are in, like right now. In the middle of chaos is when people let their exercise go, they let their sleep habits go, and that's when we need those things the most. So I'm excited to share.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we're going to keep it interactive.
Mhm.
Folks in the chat can give us questions and things of that nature, but this is going to be a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to kick it off. Cecile is going to lead us in a meditation.
Yes, I see somebody else. Is that Kiana that just joined us? So welcome, Kiana. If you want to put your pronoun and where you're from in the chat box so we can say hello to you. All right. Can y'all hear the music? Is it loud enough?
I hear.
Okay. All right, Kiana, if you hit like the bottom of your screen, you'll have the option to pull up the chat box. Oh, there you go. All right, from San Francisco. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
She's my friend. Hi,
Oh, okay. All right. Well, to start us off, I'd like to do a short meditation because I really want everybody to be present. I want you to be here. I want your whole focus to be here right now so you can take in everything that we're going to talk about. So I want to ask you to get in a comfortable position, and I'm going to turn the sounds off on my phone. All right. So get in a comfortable position. If you're sitting up, I want you to sit up straight. I want you to make sure that you've got enough room for your belly to expand as you breathe. And then I want to relax those tummy muscles. Just totally relax. Let your gut hang out. Nobody's looking, nobody's judging. It's a little bit loud. I want you to take in a deep belly breath. And exhale at your own pace. And we're going to take in another breath. And this time, as you inhale, I want you to really focus on your belly. I want you to notice how it expands, not just forward, but to the sides. And sometimes you can even feel it in your back. Let's go ahead and do another deep inhale. Let's do one more inhale. And now, I just want you to breathe naturally from your belly and just listen to the sound of my voice. With every inhale, I want you to know that you are inhaling love and acceptance from the universe. The universe only has your best interests at heart. They want you to be in your highest good. So every inhale is bringing in light and love into your body. You're inhaling healing. You're inhaling self-love and acceptance. And with every exhale, you are letting go of fear and doubt and nervousness and worry and anything that's going to hold you back. And so, with every exhale, as you let go of all of those things that keep you stuck, you're making room for more light and more love. So, continue to exhale anything that is not in your highest good. And inhale everything that the universe has to offer, everything that the universe has to support you, and all the things that you want to do with your life. And just a couple more breaths to continue to fill ourselves up with light and love. And with every inhale, we know that we are worthy. We know that we deserve all the good things that are coming to us. We don't have to earn it. Being born, being human, being a soul in this body on this earth is what makes you worthy. So just by being here and just breathing, that is all you have to do to be worthy of love, to be worthy of rest, and to know that you are enough. So with this next breath, I want you to really focus on what you feel like in your body right now. Notice how your body expands as you inhale. And notice how your muscles just kind of relax as you exhale. One more deep breath like that. And if you're feeling solid in your body, and open your eyes. If you need a couple more breaths to get solid in your body, that's okay. You can continue to do that and then open your eyes when you're comfortable. Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I definitely feel more relaxed. Even when I lead these kind of meditations, my body ends up relaxing as I do it. So how are you feeling?
I feel so much better. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'll turn the music down some. I'll just leave it playing in the background.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, Kiana and Laura, how do you guys feel? Awesome. Yeah, something as simple as knowing how to breathe can be so empowering and give you so much more control over your day, over your emotions, over all the things that can go wrong during your day that you don't have control over. If you can stop and just breathe through your belly for a few minutes, that helps to get you centered and helps to give you control over your emotions instead of your emotions controlling you. And oh my gosh, especially for someone like I used to have panic attacks all the time, but learning how to do this kind of breathing would like just stop it in its tracks. You know, you just your feelings are like, oh, and you're just like sweating and your thoughts are racing. But when you stop and you have to focus on your breathing, your thoughts can't race because you're focused on your body. And if you're automatically slowing down because you're taking these big breaths in your through your belly, then your thoughts can't race and your body has to calm down. And it's just something that's so simple. We all breathe.
That's
When we
right.
breathe, when we breathe intentionally and breathe correctly, then it gives us control over the rest of our bodies and how we react, how we respond to outside stimuli.
I love that because especially at this time when it feels like there are so many things that are outside our sphere of control,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on what we can control is extremely important.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I know when, and I'll go ahead and just bring up politics right now. Just do it right in the beginning. when the right after the election, that was when I was having panic attacks like crazy, and I was glued to the news, and it was just like, you know, the train wreck that you can't turn away from. And the more I started doing the meditation and focusing on my breathing, the less I respond to what's happening. Because now I can watch the news and just be like, what the heck is going on? But I'm not like freaked out about it. I just go, what the heck is going on? And if I feel like I need to watch, I will make sure that I'm breathing through my belly as I watch. And as soon as I turn off the news, I sit down and get centered, because I know that that's going to affect how I'm feeling going forward. And I don't want to take that chaos with me. Mm-hmm.
And this is so important because that is exactly what Trump wants.
Yes.
Trump wants us to feel like there's
overwhelmed and out of control and powerless.
Mm-hmm. And that he has all the power. And so when we feel overwhelmed and out of control, we are literally transferring our power to him, which is exactly what he wants.
That's exactly what he wants. And it's exactly what his and that is part of this gaslighting campaign, is to keep people off balance and feeling like they have no control. And in the Facebook group that I used to manage, I have since turned it over to other people, but once a week we got together and I led a live meditation. And what I basically told the group was, you got to breathe throughout the day, stop giving away your power. And I'm like, all of this darkness is being spewed at us all the time, and we have to remember that we aren't darkness, we are light. And when you can stop and get centered and not give them the response that they want, then you're able to share your light to counteract that darkness that they're spewing out there. So every time I'm on a webinar, every time I'm a guest on somebody's show, when I do my own webinars, that is my whole purpose. I am spreading my light and trying to get other people to understand that they have that light in the center. And it's our job to manage our light and to shine our light in response to the darkness, because darkness can never overpower light. If you have a candle, I don't care how much darkness is coming around, that flame is gonna flicker. And so, and you know that saying about it, one candle can light 100 other candles. And so I am a candle and I am spreading the light, and I want everyone else to understand that they are candles, that you have that light inside of you. And rather than let the chaos take over and let other people dictate how you feel and let them get reactions out of you, every time something pops up, you just pause, relax that tummy, you take that deep breath, and you are automatically back in your body, and you are no longer in reactive mode. You are in responsive mode. And then after you take that breath, you can decide, do I want to respond to this? Do I want to let this go and focus on something else that is more positive, that where I feel like I can be more powerful? And if that's all you take away from this, that's huge.
And I love how you ended on that I can be more powerful, because we are the power. Trump is actually powerless. He is a coward. And you see it when women of color confront him and he turns and runs like a scared animal. That is who he really is.
That is who he is. That is who he is. And all of the people that are propping him up are the same way, because they're hiding behind him.
Exactly. So the more we reclaim our power and the more we detoxify and stop reacting to his nonsense and remember who we really are, and who we are descended from, and who is coming out, who our future children are, and stand grounded in that power, the more we take back. And the more space we create for ourselves and push him out.
That is exactly it. That's exactly it. I'm a firm believer in grassroots movements. I have been the leader of grassroots movements before in localities, and I'm really this is my goal. I'm starting a grassroots movement on the internet about taking back our power. And I'm teaching people not only about anti-racism, but also about the self-care. All of that has to be integrated because there are so many things that we're going through right now that are huge that our country has not wanted to face and deal with. And so I integrate the self-care with that anti-racism knowledge or that feminism or the anti-sexism or whatever it is. You integrate that self-care so that people can stay grounded and centered so that they can hear you. Because otherwise, if you're just teaching and you're not integrating the self-care, people get all triggered and they get bothered and then they tune out and they don't want to listen because they want to get their point across. And so by teaching people to stay grounded in their bodies and to take that breath and relax, then you open up the opportunity to learn. You open up the opportunity to hear what somebody else is actually saying.
I
And so
love
that's why I focus a lot on breathing. And that's why I believe that self-care ought to be integrated with anything that's challenging.
I love that approach so much, Cecile. And from the first conversation you and I had, I felt so seen, so
Aw.
heard. So it was a very healing conversation. And that's what I think it's going to take. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're all so traumatized and we're all carrying intergenerational trauma
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
all of this uh, it's literally trapped inside our bodies, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so when we get in the setting where there's blame and shame and judgment and all of this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, of course our natural reaction is going to be to flee because
Self-protective. We're gonna do whatever we can to protect ourselves and to not see ourselves as the bad guys. And I think that right there is the issue with white people learning about racism and slavery is I don't want to be the bad guy. I'm not a racist. And so that they don't actually have to face facts, which is why my motto in my courses is no blame, no shame, no guilt, because I'm not blaming anybody for being white. I'm not trying to shame anybody for their past, who their ancestors were. And guilt is not a good teacher. I'm sorry, none of those things helps with learning. So when people are in my courses, it's no blame, no shame, no guilt, because that is not how people learn. If people, not saying that people won't feel that way, they might feel those things, but it's not because I'm putting it on them. I don't use words that blame or shame or guilt. And if people are feeling that way, then of course, since I'm doing the self-care, then they get that integrated and they have the tools that they can use if they need them to help them move through those emotions, because I'm all about doing the work.
yes, another excuse I hear a lot from white people is, well, my ancestors didn't own slaves. And I'm like, it's not a matter of our ancestors owning slaves or not.
Right.
The bottom line is our ancestors profited from the system of slavery
Mm-hmm.
in some way, shape, or form. So,
And
you
people and today, even if your ancestors didn't own slaves, you still have the privilege of being white. You still have skin privilege. And even if your ancestors didn't own slaves, you still probably have some kind of other privilege. They may have gotten the 40 acres and a mule and a mule that the slaves didn't get. They may have gotten a low interest home loan, to move out of the projects that Black people didn't have access to. You have skin privilege some type of way if you're white. And so it's not about what your ancestors did. It's about the benefit that you get that you didn't earn right now.
that's it. That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Vonda, for joining us and also pose questions for us in the chat. We can't hear you, but we can see what you're talking about
Mm-hmm.
in the chat. And let's talk about how to practice self-care during this time of chaos. What has
Okay,
been
well, let's
working?
define self-care first of all. All right, a lot of people that I talk to think self-care means, oh, I got to take a vacation, I got to take a bubble bath, cow got to take me away. That is not actually self-care. That's that's extra. Self-care is actually doing what you need to do so that you can be your healthiest self in all aspects. And so self-care can be emotional, it can be physical, it can be spiritual, it can be financial, whatever it takes for you to run your life, being the healthiest that you can be in that space, whatever that takes, that is self-care. And so you want to be able to live your best life. You want to be your healthiest. You want to, not be so on an emotional roller coaster. And so all of those things are what it takes to me to do self-care. And whether that means meditation and going for a jog or balancing your checkbook once a month or whatever it means for you to live your best life and to be take your next step, that is self-care. And so I don't do bubble baths. I don't like them. um, I'll just share, I have fibromyalgia, and so sitting in the hot water is not a good thing for me. But if you're somebody that likes bubble baths and that makes you feel really good, then that can be part of your self-care regimen. But I'll tell you, for me, having a quick 5-minute shower is totally fine. But you let me sit down in quiet with my meditation music for, even if it's just 5 minutes, that is my self-care, because that gets me centered and it helps me stay in balance. So self-care is not going to be the same for everybody.
And I think it's important to tune into yourself. I mean, we're so full of self-judgment that
Mhm.
we're like, oh, I'm not doing self-care right because I'm not doing it the way so-and-so is doing it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
that is what
Yeah.
is right for so-and-so.
Right.
Does not mean that you have to do it in that way. And it also may
Mhm.
change over time. Like before I had kids, I was super into yoga. I did yoga almost daily. After I had kids, I could not get into it. I just
Mhm.
couldn't do it. And I
Mhm.
needed something that was more aerobic too, because
Right.
my body had changed.
Mhm.
And that's when I discovered Zumba.
Oh, I
And
love
now
Zumba.
Zumba is like a major, major aspect of my self-care. And
Mhm.
I highly recommend, I used to think, oh, I have to go to a class to do Zumba. But since social distancing, I found all these online classes,
Mhm.
and you don't even really need that big of a space when you think about
No.
it.
Mm-mm. I go
Yeah.
on YouTube and I pull up the Just Dance videos, because I used to, before my Xbox broke, I used to do Just Dance, but now I just pull them up on YouTube and dance along.
That's
So,
great.
and I love music. I don't know if y'all can tell. I love my music. And so being able to have some music and dance around for a minute, that is self-care for me. When I can't dance or don't have access to my music, it makes me feel bad. And people who know me know every webinar I start with a song. And so I start off singing and dancing and and invite everybody to dance along with me. And then I get down to business. So so that even with my webinars, I'm doing self-care in the beginning, and it's not just for me, it's for everybody, because I know I talk about serious topics. And so if we're dancing and singing to Justin Timberlake for a few minutes before we get started, that brings everybody's energy up. And the people who were nervous in the beginning are laughing before we even get started.
And I think just as we're being selective about our news consumption and all of that stuff, we have to
Mhm.
be very selective about our music consumption, because it really can elevate our mood
Yes.
when we listen to uplifting
Hmm.
music.
Hmm. Yep. Music sets the mood in a lot of ways. And it can change your mood in, one song. Because I know I've had several times where I've been like either angry or feeling kind of sad or down or whatever, but I know what songs lift me up, and I can put it on, or somebody else will put on a song they know that I love, and I can't not dance. I can't stay angry for the whole 5 minutes that the song is playing.
Yes. And for me, dancing releases my creativity. I call it shaking out the cobwebs. Like
Hmm.
that's when my clearest ideas come forth. And if
Hmm.
I'm like, I have a question that's weighing on my mind and I start dancing, then the answer to my question will kind of emerge. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because if you stay focused on the question, you're never going to get it, because you're really like trying to yank it out. You're trying to push it out instead of letting it come to you. So I want to know from the people on the webinar, what do you guys do? Do you guys love music? Do you like to dance? Do you meditate? I'm sure you do something, because that's why you're here, to find out more about it. So what is it that you guys do, that's your self-care?
And while we're waiting for those responses to come in, another important thing that I don't always get to every day is just going outside,
Oh my
making sure I'm
gosh.
getting fresh air, looking at
Yes.
the plants. One
Yes.
of the great things about the whole slowing down is the birds are back.
I know. I
I
know. I
love
love that.
birds.
Yes, yes. And I'm with you on the whole going outside thing. That's another way to get grounded. You know, we talked about meditating to get centered, but going outside and actually putting your feet in the grass or in the dirt is another way to get grounded, because the earth automatically grounds you. If you're putting your feet in the grass and in the dirt for any amount of time, it's pulling toxins out of your body, and it's also pulling your energy back into itself. It's getting you back in balance. And so I love to be outside. And there's actually two trees. There's one like right in front of my apartment and one that's right in the back. They're my favorite trees of all time. They're my favorite trees. I go out there and I talk to them and I sit under them. And if I'm feeling off balance and out of sorts, I will go outside, you know, barefoot and just stand near the tree. And by the time I'm done, I feel so much better. As a matter of fact, I was walking around my apartment not too long ago and my back was hurting so bad. And I was talking on the phone to my boyfriend and I was like, I'm going in the house because my back hurts so bad. And he was like, you're going in without going to visit your tree? And I was like, no, I don't want to walk that far. And he was like, you know, you feel better. And so I was like, oh, but I went over to the tree and I leaned up against the tree just there. And after just a few minutes, when I stood back up, my back pain was gone. And it's because I'm so used to being out in nature and I know that's where I get my, and
Yeah.
that's there for any and everybody.
That is so, there's so many beautiful trees here in San Francisco.
Mhm.
And yeah, same thing. I have them right outside my door.
Mhm.
And so I love just going outside and looking at them, like just really beholding them, because it's easy to kind of scurry past, but like you said, you got to actually take the time to really look at them.
Yes. I see Lisa said that she does my mandalas as part of her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have two mandala coloring books. So evidently she's coloring on my mandalas as part of her meditation. Being in nature. Oh, that actually that works. And essential oils. Taking naps is a good. I've never heard of Orange Theory Fitness.
Oh,
I'll have to
Orange
look that up.
Theory Fitness is a gym chain. I don't know if they have it in the
Okay,
eastern part of
in
the United
Virginia.
States.
I don't know. Okay, Laura, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Intensity interval training. Woo! Wow. Yeah, I don't do that high intensity interval stuff. I'm more into like yoga and stretching.
Another thing that is very important, hydrating.
Mhm.
Yes. So
Mhm.
I've been making my own kind of soda concoction. So this is
Mhm.
a third limeade, a third ginger beer, and a third sparkling water.
Mhm.
And it is so refreshing. I love making this drink.
I do the same, except for I will have like 80% sparkling water and then 20% juice. Just
Also,
so I can have some flavor.
yes.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, when you stay hydrated, all of the other things that you need to do for self-care become so much easier, because when you're hydrated, you think clear, your body just feels better, and it's easier not to be so moody. When you're dehydrated, you're automatically feeling bad and you might not even recognize that it's because you're dehydrated. And so it's go off and react rather than respond when you're dehydrated. And so really, even if you don't like water, if you can mix half water and half something else, it's so give that a try. And I just recently started drinking the ionized water.
What
And
is
so
that?
it's water that's meant to alkaline instead of acidic. So I just started drinking that because I'm trying to get my body to be more alkaline and hoping that that's going to help me with my fibromyalgia, help me feel better. So yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I remember I met a neuroscientist who told me that our brain is mostly made up of water.
I
And
didn't know that.
yeah. And so when you become dehydrated, it really does like heighten your biases and like reduce your ability to think clearly.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, I know that it makes you more irritable and you can't think as clear, but I didn't think about it being because your brain is mostly water. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That totally makes sense though. Okay. Does anybody have any questions for us so far? Um, I want to make sure that while we're here that you're getting what you came for.
Well, up to now, we've been talking a little bit about physical self-care.
Mhm.
Should we talk a little bit about spiritual self-care?
Mhm. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so as far as spiritual self-care, a lot of mine is tied up in meditation, and I do a lot of stuff with my chakras. Um, so I do a lot of grounding, which is part of meditation, but that's only half of it. Grounding keeps you centered, but then when you get into your, I guess I would say like your full light of yourself, it's when you're grounded and you're also connected to a higher being or your higher power, your higher. And so my spiritual practice, even though I do go to church on Sundays online, not all the time because I'm not really religious, but but what I do very, very regularly is light up my chakras and make sure that everything is in alignment. And then that is how I connect with my higher power. I'm also an intuitive, so I talk with my spirit guides very regularly, and I do get messages from my higher self and from a higher power I channel. And so all of that is part of my spirituality. It's not necessarily how everybody else does theirs, but that's how I do mine. And I would love to hear about how other people maintain their spiritual balance.
So similar to you, Cecile, I'm not religious,
Mm-hmm.
but my spiritual practice is largely my relationship with other people. So one thing
Mm-hmm.
that's been great about this time is that I've been reaching out to mentors of mine. I've had the experience more than once of mentors and people who've played really important roles in my life passing away suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
And so through that, I've really made it a point to get back in touch with those folks who in different times in my life have made a huge difference for me, and reconnecting with them, because sometimes, there was one period of time in your life when you were really like at a particular job or organization or a place where you lived, and now
Mm-hmm.
you don't live there anymore or you don't work there anymore and you kind of lost touch with them. Just
Mm-hmm.
getting back in touch with them and seeing how they're doing. And one thing that's been great is that folks are mostly at home these days.
Yeah.
So you are able to get in touch with them.
Yeah,
And
you
they
can
have
finally
plenty
connect
of
with
time
people.
to talk. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well, I have to
also,
say that that's huge for me because I live about 4 hours away from my family and everywhere that I grew up with, and we had kind of lost touch. But now that everybody's doing the virtual thing that wasn't comfortable doing it before, I'm able to keep in touch with so many more people.
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also been reaching out to mentees of mine. So people who I mentored in the past, and similarly, like we had an intense mentoring relationship at some point, and
Mm-hmm.
now we've kind of are not in his regular contact, just checking
Mhm.
in and seeing how they're doing, which has also been really nice.
Yeah, yeah. I bet. I see we have a question. Um, we have a question from someone saying that they were wondering about self-care when when they're very busy caring for their 90-ish parents and living with them during the pandemic, because that's super stressful. And oh my gosh, bless you for caring for elderly parents, especially right now. I hope that your parents are actually listening and following the recommendations, because so many elderly people are not, thinking that they're invincible. And the first thing that pops in my head about this is making sure that you have time for yourself, time away from them for at least a few minutes a day. You cannot, what is it? You can't, what is it? You can't
You
drink from
can't
an
give
empty
from
cup.
an empty
Oh,
cup. Yeah.
you can't give from an empty cup. I knew it was something about an empty cup. And so, as someone who has been guilty of this, if you keep giving, and not replenishing yourself, you're going to crash. So you've got to take some time for yourself. And even if you don't have somebody else who can come in and look after them for a few minutes, um, I don't know if they're sick or if they're just elderly. I don't know, but you got to be able to like let them be on their own for like at least a half an hour, so you can go out in the yard or go sit somewhere and just breathe, or do something that you love by yourself away from them. That is critical. And if there's any way that somebody else can help you, then that is also crucial, because that would give you more time. But as far as what you can do by yourself, being, trapped in the house with them, the main thing I can say is take some time for yourself and make sure that you have something that's important to you that's not focused on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So important. And that you are experiencing gratitude and people
Yes.
appreciating on you for doing this really, really difficult work. And I want to express my gratitude to you
Yes.
for doing that for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I live with my
Mother's Day. Oh,
83-year-old mother.
oh wow. I'm sorry. I thought you had frozen for a minute. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. I live with my 83-year-old mother, and fortunately, she is actually, caregiving to me a lot of the time, to be honest. But but I think it's normal anytime you live with someone, even someone you love very much, especially in the kind of stress that we're under, it's very easy to lose our patience with them. And I can be very snippy and mean to her. And one of the things that I try and do when I start to go down that path is reflect on how grateful I am that I live with her and
Mhm.
not with my ex-husband. Because if I were living with my ex-husband right now, it would be hell on earth. So,
Oh my God.
so that helps me to shift back into that gratitude mindset, and then I can be more gentle. But we have to forgive ourselves too
Yeah.
sometimes for losing our patience. And
Hmm.
it is very trying, and this is a really stressful time. So if you're feeling stressed out, no judgment, like no,
Exactly.
you
No
know,
blame, no shame, no guilt, because it's difficult.
this is I mean, I don't know. I was in New York for 9/11 and the whole aftermath and everything like that.
Wow.
But I can't, what we are going through right now, I think hands down is the most stressful experience I've ever had in
Well,
my
this is basically sustained trauma. I mean, between being gaslit and then having to stay in the house and worrying about loved ones that are sick, and watching the things that we're watching on TV with the bodies, and then the children getting sick. This is sustained trauma.
life.
Oh, Kiana, okay, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for coming, Vonda. Congrats on buying a new house. That's so
Yeah,
exciting.
congratulations. Wow.
Celebrate that. So
Woohoo, woohoo.
let's that's another self-care. Okay, when things are going well, let's take a moment and really celebrate that and really
Yes,
dwell
enjoy it.
in that.
Congratulate yourself. Recognize that you have met a milestone. Don't just push to the next thing. Yeah.
And also let's take some time to experience the grief from this trauma, you know,
Yes. Yes.
because we're also like, oh, well, I don't have it as bad as so and so, therefore,
See,
you
this
know,
isn't a
who am I?
comparison. This is not a comparison. It's really
No.
not. Everybody experiences things differently, and your feelings are valid. Whatever it is that you feel, that's how you feel, and your feelings are valid. And the one thing that I started off with the breathing, I'm going back to the breathing, because whatever it is that you're feeling, breathe through your belly so you can actually experience it. When you breathe in your chest, when you're like breathing shallowly and it's all up here, what you're doing is trying not to feel. And we are trained as adults to do this. Babies don't do this. If you notice, babies and toddlers, they always breathe through their bellies, and they're just like whatever they feel, they are experiencing it. And as we get older, we start breathing up here because we are controlling our behavior. We don't want to react. We know we can't just like bust out crying at work when somebody hurts our feelings, and so we're breathing in our chest. But we forget to let go when we get home. And so even if you're controlling your feelings when you're out in public, when you get home, you got to let it go, because otherwise everything is trapped and it just keeps building on top of each other and on top of each other until we get numb. And when you get numb, then you're losing your connection with spirit. And it's just this whole like domino effect of everything. And so taking the time to just breathe through your belly can undo so much. So yeah, I had to go back to the breathing. That's like my basic number one thing. It's like drink water and breathe.
Talk about getting back to the basics.
Yeah.
And tell the people you love that you love them. And tell them
Yes.
again and again
Yes.
and again. That never gets
Mm-hmm.
old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And I wanted to say one more thing about living with elderly parents. And we talked about taking time for yourself and doing something for yourself. But make sure that they have something that they can do. If they like to color, if they like to do crosswords, give them something that they can do that's not focused on you. And so if they like to cook, is that they can do that's not focused on you, that they can do alone safely, give them something to do, because that gives you more time for yourself.
Very good
Yeah.
one. I also wanted to touch just back on the grief piece. So
Mm.
a friend of mine had to cancel her wedding,
Oh
and
wow.
and then she was feeling guilty about feeling sad about that. And I'm like,
Feel
woman,
sad.
it's a loss. I mean, you were like looking forward to this and planning this, you know. Don't feel guilty about feeling sad about not doing, like, that is just
Right.
human. It's okay, you know.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you don't have to compare. It's okay to feel sad about something that seems like it's not life or death. It's okay to feel sad about that stuff, and you have to acknowledge it. This is something that you really, really wanted, and now you're either going to have to wait a long time for it, or you're just going to, miss that experience. Like the kids that aren't able to walk across the stage with their friends to graduate. It's okay for them to grieve that they're not getting that graduation experience. They worked hard for that.
Yes.
So
And
yeah.
if you did not watch the Graduate Together special, I
Oh
highly
yeah.
recommend watching it. It's on Hulu. I
Mhm.
started ugly crying when they had this virtual choir of all these young people singing the Star Spangled Banner, and I realized it was the first time since November 2016 that I actually felt proud to be an American. And I have a lot of issues with the Star Spangled Banner, and I wish it weren't our national anthem.
Mhm.
But it was so amazing to see these young people sing that song. I don't
Mhm.
even know, it just really, really touched me. And the whole special was
Mhm.
so well done.
I
The
haven't seen the whole
celebrities,
thing, but I saw a part of it. I'm gonna watch the whole thing. Yeah.
oh my God, woman, it is, you know, because everything I do is motivated, inspired by my great love of young people.
Mhm.
And it was just so uplifting to see all these young people.
Mhm. Another show that's really good is John. what's his name? It's not Krasinski. Anyway, the guy that played the guy that was on The Office. You know which one I'm talking about? The one that liked Pam and is
Yes,
marrying Pam on
yes,
The
yes.
Office.
I know who you're
Okay,
talking
and
about.
now he's playing Jack Ryan on Jack Ryan on Amazon. Anyway, he has started a YouTube channel and it's called Some Good News. And he does a show once a week and it's all about good news that's happening during the pandemic. I love that show. He did a virtual graduation for a bunch of kids and actually got his and famous actors and stuff to come in and talk to these guys about questions that they had, and then he had decorated with balloons and had a big old party. I love his show. If you're looking for some good news happening right now, look up Some Good News on YouTube. I love that show. He actually had, I'm going to tell you, I don't know why I'm just going off on a tangent, but I love him. Okay, so he actually had people sending him family recipes because he was like, I need to know what to cook during the pandemic. So somebody send me recipes. And all these people sent in recipes. And then he got famous chefs to cook those family recipes for people live on YouTube. I thought that was the bomb. So he had the person and then he had the famous chef and then they were all on live and that was just amazing.
That is so cool. And you know what? I will post in the notes for this call this recipe I cooked from the New York Times it came out last week and I made it for dinner on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And literally all 4 members of my family, both my kids and my mom and I, were just like, like that never happens, right? I was like, oh my God, my kids are like, are there any leftovers? Like they never want to eat leftovers. So it was really, really a good recipe. And I think that is taking that time to really
Mm-hmm.
cook and nourish
Yes.
and really think about, okay, being intentional with what we're putting in our bodies. And
Yes.
also no shame about, wanting to eat ice cream or whatnot. Like let's,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
let's enjoy ourselves. Let's enjoy our
Mm-hmm.
bodies and not feel guilty that if we need to have some comfort food in here, I'm not going to be like, oh no, don't eat that.
Right. That brings me to something that I did want to talk about. A lot of people at the beginning of this, they were like, oh, we're going to be quarantined for a month and I'm going to get in shape and I'm going to become a vegan and I'm going to do this and it's going to be so awesome. And, at the end of this, I'm going to come out and everybody's going to go, whoa, you look so good. And then everything started happening and people are like, I'm sitting on the couch eating ice cream and I'm eating meatloaf every other night. And so I just wanted to say, that don't beat yourself up for not meeting your unrealistic, super high expectations. Okay. Going through this is not the same as having a vacation. People are trying to learn how to work from home, and it's not the same as going to work. Your kids are there. You're trying to do homeschooling, and then, your parents are there, and you're used to seeing them in the evening, and then you're with them 24/7. Same thing with your husband. You're sitting there, and you're at one end of the room on a Zoom call and he's at the other end of the room on a Zoom call and y'all are talking about totally different things and getting on each other's nerves. So this is not a time to expect that you're going to say, I'm going to go within and become one with the Buddha. When I come out, I'm going to be 100% perfect. This is not that time. So if you went into this thinking that you were going to come out, totally transformed, be glad you came out of it. Okay.
Hello.
Let's be glad that you made it to the end and everybody is still in one piece and you still have a relationship with your family members. So don't go beating yourself up for, setting unrealistic expectations. And if you're one of those who did set those, what is more realistic? What's realistic is I'm going to take a shower every day and I'm going to get my work done and my kids are going to do the best that they can with this homeschooling stuff. And I love everybody. If that's the best you can do, that's the best you can do. And if you can do all of that, but you can't take a shower every day, but you can do it once a week, if that's your best, that's your best. And be glad that you can do that.
And enjoy that shower. Really,
Yes.
really feel when you're washing your hair, really feel you're soaping your body. Like whatever it is that you are doing, try to find the joy within that experience.
Yes. Yes. When you take a shower, you're not only cleansing your body, you're also cleansing your spirit. And I'm saying this as an intuitive. When I get up in the morning and I'm taking a shower, I am washing off anything that got on me during the night, whether it was like some remnant of a dream or whatever. I'm washing all of that off so I can start clean and new. So when you get in the shower, appreciate that. And it's not just, oh, I got to scrub my body and hurry up and get out of here so I can get to work. No, wash your body and then be grateful that you've got the running water and the heat to do this comfortably, and that it's not only washing off the physical, it's also washing off any spiritual residue that you don't want to have hanging on you. So, really do appreciate that. And before you step into the water, turn it on, belly breathe. I'm going to keep going back to the breath. Take that deep breath and know that as soon as you step foot in that shower, you're going to be fully present in that moment so you can enjoy it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something else is making sure you're getting enough sleep and trying to do what you can to get yourself relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
tired so that when you lay down, because I know it's been difficult for a lot of people to sleep
Oh,
with all
yeah.
the anxiety and the uncertainty and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can do some exercise during the day so you're a little tired,
Mm-hmm.
if you can have a nightly ritual and try and like go to sleep around the same time, get up at
Exactly.
the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Turn off the blue light. Like if any electronics, there's this thing called flux. If you go to, I think it's flux.org, and it will eliminate the blue light. You can set the timer so that it like slowly turns off the blue light with the with your sunset. And most phones have a timer on that. My blue light filter comes on my phone at 7 and it goes off at 7 in the morning. So if I'm looking at my phone after 7, at least I'm not getting those blue light rays that tells my body that it's time to stay up, because it takes a good hour or more for the effects of the blue light to dissipate within your body. And so, most of us are using our electronics until late. And
yeah.
so make sure that you have the blue light filter on there so that you can actually go to sleep, and try not to sleep with the TV on, because that's just more.
Oh, someone says, I feel guilty about my own complaints. I always think in the shower, but think of all the people who don't have this. Yeah. Um, I think it's still okay to enjoy what we do have and to
Mhm.
not, I know, like, I have felt so guilty about, I have so many friends in New York City. I lost a young man, passed away from coronavirus. Many of my friends have had coronavirus and fortunately fought it off. I have other friends whose parents have passed away, etc. So
Mhm.
it's like really easy for me to be like, oh God, I should feel guilty because I'm here with my kids and, but no, there's,
Feeling guilty isn't helping. What good is feeling guilty doing? All it's doing is robbing you of the joy of what you have.
yeah,
So it's sort of like the not pushing guilt on people in the class. If you've got something, I think feeling guilty for having something is kind of like wasting having it. So if you've got it, enjoy it and be glad that you have it and that you can have that experience, and then you can pass that joy on to someone else. And then the people who don't have it, I bet you that the people who don't have it are more grateful for the things that they do have than they are ungrateful for the things that they don't have. There have been a lot of studies that show that people who are poor are more satisfied, and they might have more anxiety about money and stuff, but they're very grateful for the things that they do have, and they really will get richer and richer, that they really don't enjoy or appreciate the things that they do have, and they just kind of toss things aside and take things for granted. And so I think you're doing I don't mean this in a bad way, but I think you're doing a disservice to the universe when you're not showing gratitude for the things that you have. So it's okay to be grateful. It's okay to enjoy the things that you have. The universe wants to enjoy them, and just indulge in all of it and be grateful for it, and know that the universe wants you to have it. If the universe didn't want you to have it, you would not have it. Okay, so take it and enjoy it, and when you can show gratitude, then that's when you open yourself up to receive even more.
Oh my God, that is
So
so beautiful, Cecile. And what
thank you.
unfortunately we are nearing the end of our time,
Oh
but I
yeah.
just wanted to, how can people connect with you? What do you do? And how can they keep in touch with you?
Okay. Well, you see my name, Cecile Armstrong. It's spelled Sacil. I know that's unusual, but that's my name and I love it. Um, my website is cecilearmstrong.com. And you can contact me there. You can reach me by email. My email is bebrave@cecilearmstrong.com. And my email is be brave because the people that I work with are brave. And I'm always saying, be brave. We have these awesome conversations. And what I do is create safe and brave spaces for people to have these difficult conversations so that we can actually transform the world on a grassroots level. I teach anti-racism. I'm an equity coach. I am all about equity versus equality. Equality means that everybody is given the same, supposedly the same opportunity. Everybody gets the same thing. Equity is when everybody gets what they need so that they can all have the same opportunity. So it's the difference between giving two people the same size pedestal when they're different heights versus giving people the pedestal that actually will lift them up so that they can see their audience. Um, so I'm an equity coach. I'm also an intuitive, as I've talked about a couple of times, and I really, really focus on social justice and anti-racism, but I also do one-on-one coaching around any topic. But my area of expertise is social justice. And so that's what I do. And as I said before, I integrate self-care in everything because I think that's how we learn best. And I don't know what else to say, but that's what I do. And I love what I do and I'm happy about it. And I'm grateful to have colleagues like Karen and to do webinars and stuff like this. I just want to spread the message of love and light and let everyone know that you are love and you are light and you have every right to be grateful and happy for who you are. The universe wants you to be happy. And for every one of us that can tap into our light and shine it, we are beating back the darkness and the chaos that's out there in the world right now. And we're the ones, we are going to take back our power. We're the ones we've been waiting for, and we're the ones who are going to create our future, whether we decide to grab our light and run with it, or whether we decide to shrink back and let the darkness take over. That's up to us.
Thank you so much for that closing thought, Cecile. And we need each other.
Yes,
Black women, white women, women of color, we have to come together and
we
have
have to.
these conversations. And
Mhm.
white women, we got to overcome our racism. And I highly, highly recommend working with Cecile on doing that. And
Oh, thank you.
just,
Well, can I tell you about one course that's coming up this weekend?
yes, tell us.
Okay. So I've got a 4-hour intensive coming up on Saturday. And I created this because of the Ahmaud Arbery shooting and the Breonna Taylor shooting. And so in this intensive, I cover through a short history of racism and how racism was actually created to justify slavery, not the other way around. A lot of people get it twisted and think it's the other way around. And then I cover some of the ways that white people are actually defensive and how they try to avoid talking about race because of fear. And then we spend the last part of the class actually going over real things that people can racism. What's the difference between a racist action and an anti-racist action? And we come up with an actual plan that when you leave, you've got a written plan for things that will fight the racist structure. And then I follow up with you in a couple of weeks and make sure that you're actually doing what you said you were going to do in class. So if you're interested, website, cecilearmstrong.com, and click on courses, you will see that is one of the new courses. And because it's the first time I'm doing it, I'm offering it at 50% off. And so I highly recommend that and
Yay.
see all the things that you'll get and all the benefits that you will leave with. You will be more confident to talk about race, and you'll be more confident to stand up to someone who is being racist and in the pond so that other white people can see how you act and have the confidence to stand up and do the same.
I love it. I love it. And I will include a link to your website, both in the YouTube video underneath it and also when I send this video out to everybody who registered. So
Okay, well, thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I loved our conversation. I learned a lot.
Yeah,
I
we
feel,
always have great conversations.
yes, I feel so restored right now. Like, whew, I feel
I
so much
know.
better.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I totally enjoyed this. And thank you guys for showing up. I'm so glad that you came. And I hope you got what you were looking for from this. Send me a message if you have other questions afterwards. Feel free.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.